For our afternoon sessions, I am going to pass over pretty quickly to our partner Labskin and Eric, who will be running a short presentation, followed by a panel discussion. As always, if you have any questions, drop those into the chat panel or into the questions tab. We'll be doing a short Q&A in between the panel discussion and the presentation. And yeah, I'll let Eric take the lead here. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Simon. Hi, everyone. Pity we couldn't meet in person. Obviously, last minute changes and everything. And thanks to the guys for organizing this virtual conference at such short notice. I think it's great to have everyone here, albeit virtually. So I think the title of this presentation on the agenda was the perfect circle of personalization, which was a little bit of a clickbaity, provocative title, because we like to do that sometimes. But basically, what we're going to do is just talk a little bit about how we came to come up with this perfect circle. I'll put inverted commas around the word perfect, because nothing is perfect, as we know. In terms of Labskin and obviously our remote clinical trials, and then Skin Trust Club, which you can obviously see on the main screen here at the moment. So just a little bit about myself, just to introduce myself. My name is Eric Clark. I'm the head of sales for Labskin and for Skin Trust Club. Been working in the company for about 2 years now. Been around the microbiome space, been to a few of the conferences around the US and Europe. And obviously I'm glad to see that definitely in the last 2 years, especially the skin microbiome space has grown enormously, and a lot more interest and a lot more kind of people looking at it as an area of interest and as an area of commercial opportunity. So yeah, so it's great to be here. You can see my little hello GIF there, which I think is very Web 1.0. So I think over the space of this presentation, we'll probably cover Web 1.0, Web 2.0, and then look into Web 3.0 a little bit as well. So especially with Skin Trust Club. Okay, so this is our perfect circle, and effectively, I mean, Labskin, for people who aren't familiar with it, is a 3D human skin equivalent. It's been in and around the testing circles for about 15 years now. It came out of the University of Leeds as a spin-off. Basically, we designed the skin model with the skin microbiome in mind. Fully differentiated model, a very dry top surface, able to host communities of bacteria for around 7 to 10 days. So great kind of environment for the skin microbiome to flourish, and obviously to look at testing products and their effect against the skin microbiome. So a few years ago, we did a presentation, which was basically what we did was we isolated skin microbiome from volunteers and transplanted it onto Labskin. So it was a proof of concept that we did, which was very successful. I mean, we have some data on it in a different presentation if anyone is interested. But it got us to thinking, we have this great 3D skin model, and we can, obviously clone, again, inverted commas, the skin microbiome of volunteers. Like what other opportunities or what other things can we do with this? Because obviously we might be commercially focused, but we're also scientists, or we have a lot of scientists. I am not a scientist, and they're curious and they want to see how they can push the envelope in terms of the technology. So that's why we came up with this concept of a remote clinical trial, or remote clinical skin trial. And basically what that was an attempt to effectively look at, again, from a proof of concept point of view, how we can do more decentralized or remote clinical trials from the comfort of our own home. And obviously, there's a lot of benefits to that in terms of recruitment and ease of use in terms of for the person that's actually sitting in their own home and getting recorded, and rather than having to go to a center. And it opens up the opportunity, obviously, for recruitment. And and we managed it through a whole platform, and it was very successful. And but also obviously very involved process in terms of we had to obviously be very compliant when it came to ethics approval and management of the trialists, and data protection, all these kind of things, which are it's quite as anyone who runs a clinical trial knows, even for the most simple clinical trial, it's quite an involved process. So from that, we kind of we had a thought, and what I suppose, if I rewind back a little bit, back to when we were looking at AI and we were looking at machine learning and how machine learning could help us to understand the microbiome a little bit better, we came across a problem, which was data around the microbiome, especially data around the skin microbiome. And a lot of our attendees here will attest to it, is scarce, and a lot of the times the source of the data isn't of great quality. So in our attempt to construct a psoriasis model based on a psoriasis AI model based on the skin microbiome, we found we maybe got 200 or 300 data points, but the whole process of actually wrangling or combining that data together was painful, and oftentimes, because the data comes from different sources, it's not as reliable, and therefore there's certain variables in the data that make the models less reliable. So we had a thought, which was, how can we solve the problem of the data collection, and then obviously how can we make more accurate models to model and to look at the skin microbiome, to look at the different factors that affect the skin microbiome. So that was where we came up with Skin Trust Club, because we said, okay, well, if we can have a skin microbiome test that takes the data, and then we have our own bioinformatics pipeline that then looks at sequencing the data and analyzing the data, and from end to end we have control of the data input, and then obviously the data analysis, the model becomes a lot more effective and a lot more interesting than if we're kind of pulling it from different sources and using different kits and introducing different variables. So that's why we came up with this perfect circle, which I guess Skin Trust has completed that circle, in that all of the data feeds into Labskin, and obviously into any remote clinical trials that we're doing. And I suppose one of the main benefits of Skin Trust Club is this whole idea of personalization, right? So you're looking at people testing the microbiome, looking at their environmental data, looking at the questionnaire data that we get from them, and constructing a picture of their skin health effectively, and then looking at products which would help their particular skin type or their particular skin profile. Yep. So as I mentioned, from Labskin, we came out Skin Trust Club, and obviously, it for us was a very natural progression. I mean, it kind of went a little bit through Labskin to remote clinical trials, the Skin Trust Club, hence the perfect circle. But today we'll probably focus a little bit more on Labskin and Skin Trust Club, and how it helps in the journey to personalization. I would say, I wouldn't say we've definitely only scratched the surface of personalization, but we're trying to ask that question, and also ask the question, and we'll discuss it a little bit more in the panel later on. What is personalization? What does it mean to different companies, and is it important, or is it the end goal, or is it just something that's come up as a trend, or kind of a market force that just needs to be addressed? But so yeah, I mean, so you're probably asking, I mean, if you're not familiar with it already, what is Skin Trust Club? I mean, effectively, Skin Trust Club is at its very core is a at-home skin microbiome test. But also, the reason I suppose it's different to a lot of the other tests is that we have, this little device that we carry around everywhere, which is our mobile phone, which gives us a lot of information about ourselves, probably much more than we would be comfortable in sharing, but it probably knows a lot more about us than we know about ourselves, I'd imagine. So effectively, we've designed this, very clean, very simple application to capture your skin health. And how it does that is that you download an app, you register for the Skin Trust Club, and then we send you out a microbiome kit, which is just like a letterbox size kit, which contains a swab and some solution to get the microbes. And then we send you back a report, a personalized report, giving you details of the bacteria in your skin, information about the pollution and the environment that you're in, and also some personalized suggestions of products that could potentially benefit your skin microbiome. Now, the reason we have the app, it's very simple. I mean, applications are obviously become a very common part of our lives, but one of the main benefits is that you carry it around with you, and it's in your location, so it can tell us a lot of information about things like pollution in your area, humidity, etc. So we want to see how these factors and how these data points affect and overlay with the skin microbiome, and whether there's certain correlations between where you live and your skin microbiome. So that's essentially what Skin Trust Club is. I mean, I won't play the video for now. So yeah, so as I said, it's a very, I mean, I won't go into too much details. I think I've covered a little bit in the previous slides, but effectively what you do is you purchase the kit, we send you out the swab, and then you download the app and you pair them together, and then we send you a little bit of a questionnaire. So again, we're trying to combine the physical data, which is the microbiome swab, with the metadata, or the data that the phone picks up, but also your own personal subjective data, because we feel that the combination of the three gives us a very powerful picture of what your skin is actually like. So we would ask you such questions as, whether you have a skin condition, or if you're on any medication, because obviously things like antibiotics can have an effect, and that helps us to give a snapshot at that point of where your skin is at. And then the benefit, I guess, from if you repeat the test is to see how you trend and how your skin is trending based on the products that you're using, or based on maybe your changes in environment, or maybe you move to a different city, or anything like that. And that gives us a nice picture over time, trending picture over time of your skin health. And also, because we're busy building up a very big database, you can also see how your microbiome compares to maybe other cohorts or other similar cohorts potentially in the future. So yeah, I mean, that's the technology. So we have as I said, we have the physical microbiome swab. We have a platform, and we have a workflow that manages your reporting, and when you get multiple reports, it shows you the trending analysis. And also in the background, we have the AI models effectively figuring out things that would be very difficult for humans to use statistics and stuff like that to do themselves. It starts to figure out clusters of data and relationships with data that may not be very obvious to everyone else. Yeah, so as I mentioned, these are the 3 data points in terms of the microbiome data, the actual phone data that we pick up, and also the metadata, so things like your own subjective information. So I guess this is a little bit of a roadmap in terms of, we are currently looking at the skin microbiome, but also we, in the future, we want to look at things like metabolites and gene expression to give more of a detailed deep dive into how your skin is performing, is probably a bad word, but how your skin is doing effectively. So at the moment we have this skin microbiome analysis, but then obviously in future we will look at metabolites and gene expression as well. Yeah, so this is a very fancy representation of what the science is. I mean, effectively is what we're using is 16S sequencing. Again, I'm sure there'll be many questions about the methodology. I think David is on the panel at in the next session, so I'm sure he'll be happy to go into a little bit more detail on the process and how we're looking at this particular method. So yeah, I mean, these are just some screenshots of the app. Again, it's something where we're we're on the start of a journey. I would say. I mean, it is a very, it's a very kind of clean and succinct app. I mean, we obviously have we want to provide people with the scientific knowledge, but also not make it too unwieldy, I guess, and too terminology heavy, because then you're kind of losing people a little bit, and they're saying, okay, well, I don't know what this all this stuff is or what this means. So we're trying to effectively empower people, because I guess one of the things that we've noticed is a lot of people put a lot of stuff on their skin without really ever testing their skin or understanding the state of their skin. And I think we all kind of take our skin a little bit for granted, especially people who are happy with their skin, I guess, or haven't had any skin issues. But obviously for people who have certain skin dysbiosis, such psoriasis or eczema, like this becomes a very important tool for understanding your skin, and maybe even potentially kind of giving dermatologists a little bit of another tool to help their patients and to help understand the skin microbiome as a biomarker. So again, at the moment, it is very much a wellness, and it's not a medical device. But in time, we will develop it to be a lot more in depth and work with these types of professional bodies to help utilize this as a tool for understanding your skin, both the skin microbiome and your skin effectively. So so these are some example of reports. As I said, it gives you a breakdown of the kind of main bacteria groups on your skin, and obviously you can do a deeper dive into the more lesser known ones, depending on how geeky you are, how much interest you have in that particular subject. But I think there's a little bit for everyone here. So we have some skin routine recommendations as well, some key findings, and also product recommendations that we think actually these are products with ingredients that could be potentially beneficial, or help you maintain your skin microbiome. And we're obviously working with our partners to get their products tested on Labskin, and to get things like supporting the skin microbiome. So one of our panelists here, Marie, has gone through that process of validating some of our products with the Labskin technology, and obviously the supporting the skin microbiome seal. So again, as much as empowering the consumer with information, we want to create a standard of testing and help lift the rising tide lifts all ships, as they say, but help lift the standard of testing in cosmetics, which hasn't the best reputation in recent history. So anything we can do to improve that landscape, we're obviously going to try, because this testing and science is our bread and butter. So that's what we want to focus on. So yeah, I spoke a little bit about partner brands. As I said, we're very much of the opinion that we want to work with partners. We want to be the product agnostic kind of seal of approval testing platform that people use. But we also want to be microbiome friendly, and we want to be, ethical, and look at, pushing the cruelty-free agenda and trying to do the right thing effectively when it comes to products. So that's and as well with partner brands, we can't do this on our own. There is a certain networking effect, and we need to associate with good partners and to have their credibility kind of lift us as well in the eyes of the consumer. So yeah, so there's some of our partners that have signed up. Some familiar names on there, some great people and some great scientists as well involved. So we're very happy to be associated with these guys. And yeah, so I won't go too much into the partner stuff. So I'm actually going to just wrap it up there, because I think I've covered effectively all of the bases that I want to cover in terms of the Skin Trust Club. So I don't know, I might be a little bit, so I've got a little bit of time, I guess, Simon. We're 20 minutes. I might have blitzed that a little bit. So hopefully there's some questions to get things going.
Yeah, of course, don't worry about it at all. Yeah, I think we'll just do a few minutes of sort of Q&A, and then we will obviously invite all the panelists and get going with that. I think, one question that I've got, obviously this is the start of the journey, as you say, and you've, you launched this earlier this year. How has the reception been in the market? How's it gone for you so far?
In terms of you mean in terms of the consumers or the partners, I guess?
A bit of both, yeah.
Both. I think partners are definitely interested, and they can see the benefit of being associated with, they probably, a lot of them are very, very proud of their own brands, and they really want to show what they can do and have a scientific backing to it. So there's been very warm reception from the partners. From a consumer point of view, we ran a few kind of free trials to gauge the market, basically, to kind of see if you can't give it away for free, you probably can't sell it. So that was the kind of the thinking behind there, and to be honest, it went off like it really kind of took off in terms of demand. I was getting messages in the middle of the night where people kind of sending in tickets and screaming at me saying, "Where's my free kid?" And it's like, we don't have any more left. We've had to, we're completely oversubscribed, which is a great problem to have. And it gave us a little bit of a boost, I guess, internally, that, there's something in this, and we just need to kind of spin it and market it the right way. But I think it's there's definitely been a decent reception to it.
It's great to hear. And then, one question that's come in on the chat is just asking for a bit more information on the microbiome index sort of score that you have, and sort of how that is calculated, what that means. I think you touched on sort of consumer understanding of the science as well.
I don't know if David is still here, if he wants to kind of step in and take this question. David, have you fallen asleep?
Nearly asleep, yeah. Okay, so basically we use two different tools. One is bioinformatics, so we use diversity, different indexes of diversity, but also on top of that, our AI models are able to pick certain features that are correlated to different things on your skin, from your skin is dry or oily or balanced, to some microbes that have been well known to associate with different disease like psoriasis and eczema. So the microbiome score is a combination of both. It's an algorithm that combines diversity with selected features from that the AI is able to pick up.
And I think a follow-up to that question was, how do you then go about making product recommendations based on that microbiome analysis?
There is two different aspects here. One is there is a number of our partners that have been testing their products with us. So we know the effect of those products on the microbiome friendly and microbiome rebalance test that we normally do as a standard. And also we always recommend, only recommend products that have been backed by other, if it's not by us, by any other sort of scientific proving on the effect on the microbiome and the efficacy on any other claims they have. So at this point, there is a mix of automated curation and manual curation of those products. Since the database is growing and improving and the AI is starting to learn in more depth the microbiome and the product itself, we will eventually recommend exclusively by ingredients, since we will have enough correlated information with different ingredients to the effect on the microbiome.
Thanks, Valerie, for that question as well. Another question that has come in is, do you test probiotic-based products in general on your skin model?
Yeah, I think we definitely do. We've done it in the past, so I don't know, David, do you want to add anything to that? But for sure, we've definitely.
Yeah, we have tested probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics, and we have tested probiotics from natural isolates, but we have also tested genetically modified bacteria that some people is using to try to shift certain characteristics of certain microbiomes. So we are used to do this, all this sort of testing.
Fantastic. And then, yeah, I think one final question probably for you, Eric, is how do you go about choosing your partner brands and who you work with?
Good question. I think David mentioned there that we obviously started from the base of our Labskin customers, because we could obviously stand over the efficacy of their products. We also we hand selected these partners, either from recommendations from our existing partners, or looking at them from through the lens of the microbiome, and looking at microbiome focused brands. So and then obviously evaluating whether their brands and their ethics and their kind of commitment to scientific testing matches ours effectively. So they're quite hand selected at this point, but obviously as people get more and more au fait with it, then we'll have a partner program that you can sign up to, and as long as you fulfill certain criteria, then we'll be able to sign up. So
nice and brilliant. I think now it's probably time to welcome Marie and Trevor and Aimara to join us, and I will pass back over to Eric, who will be leading this panel discussion. Thanks for that.
Great stuff. Am I still sharing, by the way?
No, you're fine.
Cool. Sorry, I need to just give me 1 second. Are we live? Okay. Welcome again, everybody. This is we're just starting off the panel discussion. You're probably sick of me at this stage, but unfortunately, you've got me again. So the title of the panel is Prebiotics, Probiotics, and Personalization. I don't know whether we have postbiotics in there as well. Would that be appropriate? I can kind of feel that question to probably David or one of the other people on the panel. So as I said, if you've attended the last session or the last presentation, my name is Eric Clark, head of sales for Labskin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hand over to our panelists and let them introduce themselves. So David, I guess you're on my screen first. So if you want to give a brief introduction and.
Yes, my name is David Caballero, head of R&D at Labskin and the Skin Trust Club. I have someone cleaning the corridor, and I have a lot of. I cannot hear anything. Sorry. So yeah, we at Labskin we test all sort of skincare and cosmetic products, also pharmaceuticals. Mainly focus on the skin microbiology and the skin microbiome. We use our Labskin food thickness model to test any sort of efficacy or safety. And since we are specialized in the skin microflora, we start to develop this Skin Trust Club using sequencing to understand the microbiome of people using this app. So my background is in molecular microbiology. I love microbes and I love to work with them. So.
You love microbes.
I love microbes.
You get a T-shirt made for that. Marie, do you want to kick off with you?
Sure. So my name is Marie Drago. I'm the founder of Gallinée, recently renamed Gallinée Microbiome Skincare, and we are one of the first brands that focused on the microbiome. So we use pre, pro, and postbiotics. Even if we can discuss that probiotics are now actually called postbiotics, at least what in our product, like with the Tinderlized bacteria. And yeah, this year I took the leap and I tested the finished product on the Labskin models, which we really liked, both the model and the results. And we mainly focus in skincare, but we also do scalp care, oral care since this year, and we've got products that focus on the gut-skin axis also. So all around microbiome beauty.
Great. Aimara?
Yes, hi. My name is Aimara. I'm in Paris right now. And I'm the founder of Radiance. Radiance is a makeup brand really concerned about skin health, skin balance, and its microflora. So for us, it's very important to go beyond just natural or just, focusing on makeup result, but also we need to focus on the skin. And last year, we decided to launch specific powders. So it's face powder because we are really focusing on complexion, face powders and blushes. And we introduced active encapsulation of probiotics in those powders. So it was a first. I think we are one of the first makeup brand really going to that level. We wanted to see if that could really have a great impact on the skin. And we also realized that we could take those microencapsulation and put it also into oil. So we did an oil that you can use for makeup remover and also as a primer for your foundation. And it's very interesting because we don't necessarily think about makeup that way. But yes, we do have some very good first clinical data showing us that it's an interesting way to increase diversity and also lower the skin pH. So all this is really what we're focusing on right now, and we want to go further for sure.
Yeah, it's very cool. I really like the concept. I've got a question for our last panelist. So your product name is ESSE, right? Is that anything to do with South Africa being SA? I think I figured it is.
No.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, God. Okay.
Sorry.
Back the code, but no. Oh.
But you've given us a new marketing line. Thanks, man. No, it means to be in Latin. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Good to know.
Yeah. So we sell mostly to well, actually exclusively to skincare therapists and doctors, depending on the region. So I guess we have a slightly different focus to consumer-focused brands. Yeah, I guess we've been doing live probiotics since early in 2015. So we have some experience in the ups and downs of offering live. Yeah, and yeah, we continue to innovate in that space, and our recent line is targeting acne.
Great, thank you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kick off with a question, basically, and I think if everyone could kind of give me an answer, that'd be great. Which is, I mean, effectively, we hear a lot about personalization, so we're going to just start a little bit on the personalization angle. What does personalization in skincare mean to you or your company, and obviously how important is it you know, is it kind of a commercial trend, or is it something that's actually deeply valuable to the industry? So David, I mean, I suppose I'll start with you because you're on my left of my screen, so you're probably going to get the first question every time. So, there you
go. Yeah, thank you. So, well, personalization, basically, as always, anyone understands it, is to give you the products that are targeted or tailored to your needs, right? So, on skin care, the trend is probably more on creating your own formulation, so a formulation tailored to your needs. From the point of view of Skin Trust Club and what we do, we are more interested on giving you the right information, the data, the science that will help you to choose the products on the market than creating a cream exclusively dedicated to your skin. There are some companies doing that. I'm not completely sure how accurate you can create a formulation specifically from one person, but our aim is to give you the information to allow you to have the data that you are able to choose the products available and the ones that work for you. And in some cases, if it works properly, to test them in real time, because you can use the products, come back, see if they are working for you using a scientifically backed test. If they are not working, then test a different sort of skin care regime that will adapt to your needs. That's personalization from the point of view of Labskin and Skin Trust Club.
Okay, Marie, do you have? I suppose you're going to have an opinion on it.
Yes. Well, for us, Gallinée, we've got products that actually we try to fit for everyone. So personalization in the beauty consumer space, I think it's a nice one that will probably be a trend in the next 3 to 5 years, but industrially speaking, I don't think we're there yet. And on our side, I don't see exactly the point yet. Personalization according to your taste, the perfume you want, the texture you want, why not? But I agree with you that personalization for me, it's more in the routine. So how to pick the right routine for you. And I see that as a very strong trend at the moment, actually, is having your little lab at home. And you've got brands that do very simple, pure ingredients and allow you to, according to what you want, pick your routine and build your own skin routine. So a little bit of data around what you really need more than what you really want is nice, I think.
I think you got cut off a little bit at the last sentence, but yeah, no, that's an interesting take on it. That it's more about the the routine rather than the person, and obviously we're trying to look at outcomes effectively, right? Because with personalization, it doesn't matter. It's great to have a personalized formula or personalized routine, but effectively, it needs to have some benefit. And I think at the end of the day, it's like science, or having tracking or having testing, or it's having some indicator or some outcome would be useful to show that the person's personalized routine is actually working. Aimara, so same question for you. I mean, obviously yours is a lot more specific. So what does personalization mean for you, or is it relevant for you really?
Well, personalization for makeup, when we think about it, it's basically color and foundation colors. Like we're thinking about, okay, how can I have like the perfect match for my exact skin tone? And that has been done already. And we've seen that it's not the key answer. I mean, because makeup is more than that. It's not just like trying to match a specific skin color. So I think that for us at Radiance, definitely working on a better segmentation is what we're looking for. And also trying to be more precise about the skin needs depending of the skin tone, because we already know that darker skin tones are different. We still need to learn a lot about darker skin. And I think that this is a way for us to look at the future and see how we could learn more from the microbiome and from all sorts of science and looking at the skin to learn more about diversity in terms of what is the melanin-rich skin compared to a light skin. And after that, trying to create products that are focusing and adapted on certain segment of skin.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think probably you're right. I mean, other skin ethnicities and tones have probably been underrepresented. Therefore, products are probably designed with the wrong, for a lot of people, with the wrong skin tone in mind. So
yes, and we have that. We think that inclusivity is one size fits all. We would like everybody to fit in that one shade of lipstick or things like that and show that, but it's not exactly like that. So in makeup, it's very specific. I think we're not into that skincare routine at all. So going from trying to do like things for everybody to, let's say, segment better and understand the skin needs and also be able to go in that direction would be a big step ahead in makeup.
Great, thank you. Trevor, same question for yourself.
Yeah, I guess we've been trying for quite a while to tailor product for client via practitioners. So whether those are medical aesthetics or doctors or therapists, it's there's a huge amount of data required, and what we've found. So we've been sampling skin microbiomes for a while, unfortunately at nowhere near the speed or cost of what you guys have got it down to. But we do have a substantial database at this point. Yeah, a few of the issues we've come across. Obviously, PCR gives you no indication of what's alive and dead, and it also gives you a very tight window on bacteria. It's I guess the analogy we thought of was it's a little bit like, I mean, if you ran a macro swab across a savanna, you'd get a reasonable indication of what grass species there were there, but you'd miss all the animals largely, and you certainly wouldn't get the lions. So yeah, it is a different view of an ecology. And it is limited, I guess. And I guess at some point, bioinformatics will get to the point where shallow sequencing of the whole metagenome will give you a clearer picture. But even then, the quantity of DNA coming out of some of the apex species might not be that high, and we're still going to miss chunks of the picture. But yeah, nevertheless, we've been giving it a go, and yeah, as David mentioned, we do want this to come down to individual ingredients. I'm not entirely certain that this is a product grouping. I think it's going to come down to specific ingredients that can make a shift.
Can I say something related to what Trevor is saying? So, yeah, I completely agree with you. So, and the analogy of the savanna is a really good one. So, if we do shotgun metagenomics and you have the whole genome of the whole population of bacteria and other microbes there, you are able to look at the metabolic potential of those microbes. You just start to understand the ecology a little better. But one of the things that we want to do and we are doing with 16 is and the AI is essential to that, is you are able to pick certain features with enough number of data points and good quality. Those features can be used as biomarkers that tell you things. Yes, we don't understand the whole ecological equilibrium of the system, but those biomarkers, that novel biomarker, the microbiome is, tell you things about the situation in your skin. A good example is psoriasis, and this has been done in independent journal publication, and we have replicated this ourselves. Using AI and a relatively small cohort of around 300 people, more or less balanced between healthy and psoriatic, you can identify a good number of groups that tells you if your skin is psoriatic or not, with an accuracy of 90% on the identification. We don't have a clue of everything that's going on the microbiome, but you can tell that using AI. And I think that's a very important point to make, is we don't need to know everything at this point, to use the microbiome to give information about the health of our skin and our guts and all that.
Trevor, do you want a rebuttal?
I think we are saying the same, basically, right?
Yeah, largely saying the same thing. Yeah, I guess not understanding the full system isn't an excuse for not doing anything. And if we wait for full understanding, we'll still be here in 150 years' time, probably. So yeah, I guess some understanding is better than nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't there that principle? I think is it Godwin's principle that the best way to get an answer on the internet is to post the wrong answer, and then everyone tells you the right answer rather than actually asking the question. I think it's because if we're going to kind of plow ahead with this, and obviously people will have different opinions on the data and the quality and the method of analysis, but it is a start effectively, and we are on a journey. So I guess the question is, I mean, if we probably all agree that the one size fits all approach doesn't work for obvious reasons, but in terms of the kind of down to the individual level probably is a bit too much and is not really necessary. So I guess I'm going to start with Trevor this time because we're going to go the opposite way. So I don't want to make him feel bad that he's on the end of every question. So Trevor, in terms of from your opinion, like what are the, I guess, the levels of personalization that we should look at? If it's not one size fits all, and if it's not individual, then how can we group those personalizations, or what's the interesting groupings that we'd want to see, or you'd want to see?
I mean, so there are a whole lot of brands doing this, and it's interesting to see the different approaches. You know, on the one end, there's the science and you know, the optimum that lies on that end, and on the other side, you've got to run a business. You know, you can't hold 2 million SKU lines just, you know, on the off chance that one person buys and gets the one just for them. So yeah, but on the other end, we're seeing personalization with you know, 10 or 16 different SKUs with the yeah, it's the illusion of personalization, really. You know, your product might arrive with your name on it. It doesn't mean it's been made for you. So yeah, I guess where we're headed is that we are going to rely on the practitioner for a skin diagnosis, and then we're going to have to distribute our manufacture. So that practitioner will take delivery of a genuinely personalized product within a sane time frame. And like I said, that's coming down to the level of ingredient. You know, perhaps we build a one-size-fits-all base, but you know, each ingredient is personalized. And perhaps we can't do 2 million options, but we can do somewhere around 10,000. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And we're in beta trials here in South Africa. Guess we see where that ends up. Yeah.
Aimara, I guess from your point of view, probably, I mean, if we're looking at groupings, I guess we're going to be talking about ethnicities or skin tones.
Definitely. I think it's the next step for makeup, is assuming that if you're creating a foundation, it's not just one formulation. And this is also something that we need to accept socially, that we will have to target skin tones with different formulation in the same range, in the same product, basically. Because if we want to suit different type of skins, and if we even go further and have some learnings about the microbiome to be able to have answers that are different according to the skin balance, or dry or oily, or all that into makeup will change definitely the way we create the lineups. So and I think it's the next step. It's the way to go. We just need probably some a little bit more confidence in the fact that makeup can also be closer to skincare, because as of today, makeup is always like something else that we apply and we don't even think about the effect on the skin. So when skincare and makeup are going to get closer and closer, it's probably where we're going to go.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of a reputation or a branding issue with makeup. I suppose it's seen as unhealthy for the skin, but if we can put some science behind it, then, you know, why not? And why not qualify that it's actually good for your skin, or it's good for your microbiome. So Marie, in terms of the grouping, so as I just kind of reiterate, because obviously questions get lost, but if it's not one size fits all, if it's not individual 2 million SKUs as Trevor mentioned, although I'm pretty sure he's going to end up with 2 million SKUs, but we'll see it anyway. But what do you think are the kind of important groupings from your perspective on personalization?
So for me, it's a lot about, you cannot be the brand for absolutely everyone. So at Gallinée, at least, we try to focus more and more on sensitive skin, because that's clearly where we see the best results. So sensitive skin or skin prone to atopy. I like the idea of Trevor to have 2 million SKUs, and you can now do clever things in formulation so that you can really tailor your product with extemporaneous formulation. So the consumer can actually make the product last minute in their home. So you don't have to sell them the finished product, which means you don't have to have 2,000 SKU. So I quite like that. And for us, it's the grouping is interesting once you understand what the groups of consumer are. So that's where like the microbiome picture is so interesting, is that we could find which kind of microbiome responds the best to our products that are already existing. And that's an easy way for me to focus on the exact right kind of consumer, the people that we can help the most. So, and it's done, like you can do it tomorrow if you want, rather than to think at 3 years about how you're going to personalize future product according to some groupings.
So are we going to start sending out like at home do-it-yourself consumer or cosmetic kits that you make up yourself?
It kind of already exists. If you look at all the DCM things that are on the market, they are really, really good at that, I think.
Yeah. David, based on obviously the 3 responses that we've got, I mean, I know we have a few ideas around looking at the looking at ingredients and different ingredients and their effect on the microbiome, and having this whole concept of a formulation builder where you use AI to kind of spin up the perfect formulation for whoever. Do you have, like, what's your thoughts on what's been discussed?
The first thing to say is there's already companies, and some are ingredients, very well-known ingredients companies that sell some sort of a piece of equipment that you can do your own formulation with the right ingredients, so you can mix that at home. Probably it's not for consumers in each home, more for professionals, but those sort of machines already exist. From the point of view of the data we can see on the microbiome, so we will group it on the obvious one. We have female, males, of course. We don't have a lot of data on the ethnicity yet, Aimara, so we are working on that. Age, skin conditions, then some things they are not that surprising, but there were no data available yet, which is pollution. So the microbiome seems to change with the level of pollution. As I say, it's not surprising, but the data wasn't there, so we started to see that data. And then something very interesting that Marie was saying, which is why we think in a different way, why we target the product to the microbiome in a way that you use the microbiome to do something else. So for instance, you can design a formulation dedicated to a group of people that have certain amount of bacteria on their skin, knowing that that bacteria will do something to your formulation, or one ingredient of your formulation, and it will activate that ingredient. So you have an active ingredient which is not active until the bacteria or your microbiome activated. Things like that. So you can refine to that point if you have the right data. To do that, you have the data. You need to have the data, but you can choose your grouping to that level of details when you start to look into this sort of thing.
I suppose not to hold you to account on the data thing, but like, what are the main, if you were to kind of look at, you know, a grouping, and you say we're going to set up David Caballero skincare, and he wants to target, like, is it location, is it age, is it other things that are the particular kind of data points that you would be interested in focusing in on?
As I say, they are the obvious one. They've always been there. I mean, age is one of them, of course. The pollution is one of them. The amount of irradiation from the sun is one of them. We just get the data now to start to understand how you really can target it in a more scientific way. I don't think the group changed from the current proposition from the skincare. As I say, age, pollution is not that common, but it's some product there. UV, you formulate with an SPF, depending on who is going to use it and what time, is it at night, is it a day. So, but the data allows you to probably refine those groups and divide it further to get into more personalized ways. So making the group smaller, probably.
Sure. And is there anything, I guess, any new things that have come across, like I guess we're looking at blue light from the phone and things like that are any new. You mentioned UV obviously has been a factor for a while, but are there any new things that we should be looking at or concerned about?
Well, I am not very convinced about the blue light thing, but I'm not going to argue.
Anything I can think about?
From the test we have done on Labskin, we cannot see an effect on different wavelengths of blue, but there are some publications that seem to indicate that blue light of a very specific wavelengths seems to interfere. I don't know with microbiome, but with the skin, yes. As I say, I am a bit skeptical about the blue light, but
because I know, Trevor, one of your presentations was about looking at basically how kind of modern life and affects the microbiome, and I think you did a great presentation a few years ago that I saw, which was looking at some indigenous microbiome. Do you think there's any new factors that that are currently there that would affect, I guess, the microbiome that we should be focusing on in terms of if we're going to personalize products?
Yeah, amount of time outside, the number of transients that you're exposed to. So yeah, there's fundamental differences between different work environments. It's yeah, I think there are a lot of new, new for the last 100 years. There are a lot of new influences on skin that are not, that are beyond our ability to adapt to, and potentially even too fast for our co-evolved microbes to adapt to. So yeah, I guess pollutants would be one of those, and yeah, it's just, we're designed to be in a sea of microbes all day, every day, and exposed to relatively large quantities of sunlight. It's somehow the industry's managed to terrify everybody into hiding in their basements, thinking that they're not getting old. It's yeah, I don't think the optimum level of sunlight is 0, and I'm kind of with David on the blue light.
I just put in that as a controversial because I know it would annoy him, but I think Simon is looking at questions from the audience. So Simon, I don't know how you want. Do you want to ask the questions, or do you want me to ask the questions? I guess I'd ask the questions.
I can jump in if you need, or I can leave it with you.
You've got a much better voice than I do, so I don't...
Yeah, I just saw that one question come in. There's a couple more coming in now. I think we've got about a quarter of an hour left, so it gives the panel a good chance to get their teeth stuck into these. The first one was just around how dynamic is the skin microbiome to environmental changes, and what impact does this have on personalization?
Okay, so I'm going to hand that over to, I guess, Marie.
Why me? I can only repeat what I hear in skin microbiome congresses, which is that your skin microbiome is actually quite resilient, because more and more we understand the importance of the follicle and how it's a reservoir for bacteria. So there's not a massive change from after your early years. It seems your microbiome is pretty stable. But there are some changes. Seasonal and temperature seems to be one, the way you wash, and Trevor has a lot of things to say about the way you wash. But yeah, it's interesting, like the way we deal with that in Gallinée is that we see people boost their creams with more or less oil. So we just launched a face oil, and you can see, like, they say, oh, usually I put 1 drop of oil, but in winter I'm going to put 2 drops of oils to manage the seasonal changes, so they can keep the same skin routine, but just use more or less. And that's what I say about personalization, is how actually your consumer takes ownership of what they want to do, and not about what the brand dictates anymore. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, from what I understand, in healthy states, microbiome is quite resilient.
Because I think Trevor doesn't want us to take any more showers. Am I correct in that?
I've got nothing against showering. It's just the foam, man. We were conned into thinking that lots of foam equals clean and somehow good.
I guess it's kind of, it is from a visual, you do feel like you're getting clean if it's it's foamy and I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point. Do you want to go on to the next question, Simon?
Yeah, I can do unless anyone else has any thoughts on that.
Aimara, how about you in terms of the, I guess in terms of the how dynamic is the skin microbiome to environmental changes? Is there anything you've been particularly interested in that area?
Well, I would say that the questions we have today are regarding, yes, if you live in the city, if you need SPF or not, and how that will affect the microbiome, and how we can make sure that we give the right answer to that. But it's not necessarily for now the focus for us, like the environment. We are really looking at everything that we can learn in the basic to make sure that makeup goes in the right direction.
Sure.
Sorry, can I just interject? In our longitudinal studies, we found the skin microbiome to be actually disturbingly resilient to change. It's you've got to go some to make the skin microbiome move in a meaningful way. Yeah,
I think it's resilient, but it doesn't mean that doesn't change. It means it recovers quickly. So you have an insult, you have burn as UV exposure, and your microbiome change. But it's resilient because it recovers quickly. If you don't pick it in the right time, you will not see the change. And that's an issue for personalization. You need to do a time course to be able to see those changes on time. And then the skin microbiome is resilient, but it changes with age. It's not the same with puberty, that adulthood. So it's not stable. It's stable in the short time. It's not stable in the long time. So just to have an idea that yes, it's stable, it's resilient, but it changes. It's not always the same.
So can I ask, for example, go for it, Trevor.
Sorry, I was just referring to the effect of skincare ingredients.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Trevor. When I try to pick that picture, that you have to pick that right point where you see the change. If not, you will not see it because it will recover quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to ask for the Skin Trust Club, for example, do you advise a particular time in the day to sample your microbiome? Is there any?
Yes, yes, we do that, and we advise to do it in the morning before you wash your face or you use any products. The reason is to be able to do a comparison that is meaningful. Yes.
Fantastic. And then another question that has come in. Today, some companies are investing in app and AI to try to bring personalization to their consumers according to their type of skin that is detected by the app. How far are we, in your opinion, from a device able to detect the specificities of a person's microbiome in order to drive them in the choice for the best skincare balanced microbiome product?
David, do you want to?
I'm not completely sure I have understood the question.
So can I mean, just one of the biggest issues we've found in sampling skin microbiomes is the massive lag that we have between sampling and delivering results to the client. I guess, if you're asking about a device, I mean, who knows? But I certainly currently our turnaround time is long. So we may be able to sample on day 1 and day 3, but we're not going to get either of those results for another 4 weeks. Certainly not with bioinformatics. So yeah, I think we're quite a long way away from a handheld device that gives you immediate feedback on your skin microbiome.
Well, if you're going to do that for sequencing, I would like to have a sequencer. But
home sequence, is that what we're saying?
We are talking about a sequencer take sometimes several days to do the whole sequencing step. So Yeah.
I guess from the point of view of like the process, I mean, what is in an ideal world, like what is the way of what is the part of the process which we could ideally kind of minimize or make simpler, or is there anything we can do to make it simpler or to make it faster?
Your turnaround time, Eric and David, I mean, where are you at the moment in, from the client sending the sample back to you to getting their result?
We have been doing the whole process from shipping to sending the report to the app in 2 weeks. That's the fastest. I mean, it's not the average. But from 2 to 4 weeks is our delivery time.
Yeah, we can't.
Once the swap for 100% sure, when the swap is in our labs, we can deliver it in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, we're way worse than that. We're 4 to 6 weeks. After bioinformatics, and if the questions around rapid feedback on immediate changes to the skin microbiome, it does. We can tell you what your skin microbiome looked like a month ago, but we can't do a hell of a lot better than that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the postal service usually plays a factor a heavy factor in those turnaround times.
We just had the Dutch Postal Service lose 160 samples. It was very embarrassing.
So we are on the other part of the scale here with Royal Mail in UK. They mainly they don't lose anyone, probably. So they're really good. All the ones that they have been lost, it was basically our fault. We put the wrong address or something. So even it's automatic, sometimes happens.
So I think we're going to have basically a road show where David drives around with a sequencer and then just starts picking up people's samples. I think that's the. Do
you know that Evo Cuties, the ones who used to be Labskin, they have a laboratory van. They went around taking samples from people. They didn't do microbiome studies, but they collect the microbes and grow them on plates.
Okay.
So it's not a new idea. You can do it.
Then it's 24 to 48 hours. Easy.
He'll just be happy to get out in his van. I think that's the main thing that he'll be happy about. Simon, do you have any other questions or?
Yeah, there's a couple more come in while we've been speaking. One of them being, what would be a sufficient level of clustering people based on their microbiome to make an improvement without ending up with person-to-person personalization?
I asked that question.
That's a very good question, but I don't know the answer really. I cannot guess a number to give to really know.
It's interesting because we see clustering of microbiome in the vaginal microbiome, where you see like now they say that they've got like 6 microbiome types according to what bacteria you have in your vaginal area. I've never seen some on skin yet. Maybe because the skin microbiome is a lot more diverse than the vaginal microbiome, so it's probably clustering people is probably harder, and it will be a lot different according to your geographical zone, I think.
But for sure, that would be very interesting. That would help a lot.
Yeah, we just need to, it's a great question.
And I think sort of final question is for the Skin Trust Club guys is well, for anyone really, but what is the frequency of getting a bad swab with a low amount of bacteria?
Surprisingly
low.
What's the frequency? How often do you see a bad swab?
I think we have 0% of swabs that we are not able to get a signal. We are doing 16 years where we are amplifying the signal. We have had some contamination. We have had people putting the swabs in the wrong tubes. We have some other sort of things. But from all the 1,000 we have extracted, I have no knowledge of anyone that we haven't been able to extract DNA. That doesn't mean we have delivered the report. In some cases, we didn't pass our QC of number of reads per sample, but there were always reads there. And in most of the cases, it were things that were seems to be real. Apart from those, they would say, look, this microbiome, this sequencing is a contamination clearly. This shouldn't be in your skin, it's not normal. Then we send another swab and just look, this might be a contamination, repeat it. That we always are able to identify some sort of bacteria. It might be a skin or not. In some cases, it's contamination.
Yeah, we've had some interesting contaminations as well, I think, to kind of question where people have been. So
it's very funny to see some of the reports. We start to see what people's pets and things like that. It's really nice.
Yeah, we've had some where the only meaningful reads were chloroplasts.
Yeah. That I think we had this conversation before about the plants on the we have some of those at the beginning and yeah.
Okay. Maybe vegans. I don't know.
We just wanted, for anyone who is using a Skin Trust Club test, please swab the outside of your cheek and not the inside of your cheek, just for everyone's benefit. Any more questions, Simon? Or
No, I think we're good there. Yeah, unless any of the panel have got any sort of closing thoughts, remarks from this discussion. Fantastic. No, that brings us up nicely to time, really. Yeah, thanks a lot, Eric and David and Marie and Trevor and Aimara. It's been really good, really interesting hour and a half there. Yeah, really interesting. And thanks a lot. Yeah, I think we will sort of bring this to a close now, and we will move on to the next session at 20 past, which will be with Niels from the University of Zurich. So yeah, you've got 5 minutes or so, and then see everyone back for that session. Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, panel.
yes, thank you.
Thank you.